Hi, and welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. Many people in the community have asked for this Thriver TV episode for me to talk about covert narcissists, who they are, how they differ from the more overt type classic narcissists, how to spot them, and how we can get taken in and down by them. And I truly do believe in many ways covert narcissists are amongst the hardest to detect, leave, and also recover from, because they expertly mess with your head, and they can do so for a very, very long time. Many people can be stuck in relationships with covert narcissists for decades. And all of us in this community who are sensitive, caring, giving people are susceptible to getting involved with covert narcissists before we heal and sort out our boundary function, because coverts have a very compelling way of appealing to people in order to hook them in. So let's start off by looking at the difference between a covert and an overt narcissist. And it's really important to understand that the word covert applies to all narcissists, because all of them do underhanded, sneaky, manipulative, deceptive things to people. However, the covert narcissist flies more under the radar than the overt narcissist, because he or she is shy, withdrawn, and nowhere near as confident. Also, the covert narcissist is not nearly as good at working out the emotional intelligence to fit in and hold the stage in social situations. Rather, this more depressed, insecure narcissist may convince him or herself that people don't deserve their energy in such a setting, and they'll sit back and they could appear subtly uncomfortable or haughty or dismissive in social situations. They don't fit in as easily. Because this person's nature at first doesn't seem narcissistic, which means brash and courageous, confident, big and magnetic, many people may not even believe that this is a narcissist until they study covert narcissism deeper. The overt classic narcissist is delusional in their belief of their false self megalomania. Unless they suffer a narcissistic injury, they're pretty convinced they actually are the character they're playing in their own head. Yet the covert narcissist, even though he or she also suffers from grandiose delusions, hasn't quite landed that plane. They don't exude the high energy around people that classic narcissists do. They lack the confidence and the self-assuredness to pull it off, and they're stuck in self-doubt instead. So to compensate for not being showy, alluring, and attention-inducing, the covert narcissist will create the image of being the lovely, empathetic, caring, and giving person. They may well sidle up to charitable pursuits and congregations and donate their time, efforts, and money. And the agenda, of course, is so that people really like them. And they'll go out of their way to project that image, such as telling all and sundry how wonderful their parents or their housemate or their love partner is, and how proud of them they are. And of course, this bears no resemblance to what takes place in private behind four walls. So naturally, people think that this person is a really kind, gentle, giving soul. And especially for those sensitive people who are not drawn to the big, loud, brash, classic narcissist that wears it like a badge, this type of person can really appeal. And to boot, they may even be someone we term as a pillar of society. Interestingly, I've known of quite a few people in this community to have experienced an overt, in-your-face narcissist, and they feel like they're done with narcissists forever, and then they have a sneakier covert type slip under their radar, and they're really confused when it happens as to whether or not this person is a narcissist. This happened to me. It's happened to many people. The altruistic narcissist, which was narcissist number 2 in my life, absolutely was a form of covert narcissist. even though he did show overt traits as well when he was triggered. Okay, so let's explore some more about the differences between covert and overt narcissists. The overt narcissist is courageous, even stupidly so, with no respect for boundaries, and he or she will blow up all and sundry to prove a point because of the monstrous ego. And this narcissist overtly would rather be right than happy, and they'll cut off their nose despite their face because of having to satisfy their ego to be right. And whilst doing so, he or she will uphold their entitlement to do what they did, and they may not give a crap about the repercussions, ignoring anyone or anything that gets in the way of what they're doing or what they did. Whereas the covert narcissist is a coward and does things by stealth and is terrified and anxious about being exposed or caught out. He or she is negative, depressed, and plays the victim card. Woe is me, the world owes me, and is horrified about being criticised or questioned, and has terrible reactions to any slight or interrogation. There's a much greater vulnerability with the covert narcissist than the overt type, and here is their dichotomy. They still believe that they are a superior being, no different to a classic narcissist, yet they're terrified and filled with shame and trauma to act it out. The covert narcissist is a damaged inner child. So imagine it like this: the overt narcissist stereotype is more likely to be the golden child parented by a narcissist, the one that was an extension of that narcissist, the one that was smart, attractive, an overachiever, and was filled with over-entitlement privileges and never learned limits, boundaries, disappointments, empathy, and humanness. Whereas the covert narcissist was most likely the scapegoated child filled with PTSD and anxiety disorders, who, because of extreme trauma, created a narcissistic personality, a false self, as their attempt at buffering themselves from internal pain. The covert narcissist is much more fretful and highly susceptible to stress than the overt narcissist. They can fall to pieces and seem even histrionic in their behaviour, as well as cry and feign illnesses to get sympathy. And this is the thing. The overt narcissist traditionally will have you believe that they're bulletproof, they're godlike, there's nothing wrong with them. They hate to appear vulnerable. Whereas the covert narcissist wears their vulnerability like a badge. They appear broken, whinging, whining, never happy, always complaining about the way something didn't turn out for them or how people treated them and stole their opportunities from them. They will give you the long sob stories about people not recognising their genius or their capabilities, and because of these people's terrible behaviour and choices, they were never given their true dues in life. The covert narcissist, quite simply, is the ultimate victim. And expertly, covert narcissists will seek your attention, as much of it as they can garnish. And here is the problem for Mpus and codependents. This can be as alluring as honey is to bees, because truly, Mpus and codependents in swarms get hooked on covert narcissists. Actually, I should probably say flowers are to bees to make honey, but I think you get what I'm saying. And the reason why they get hooked on covert narcissists is because, first of all, they think they've found a kindred soul, someone as caring, kind, and nice as them. And then they get propelled into what comes so naturally: caretaking and fixing others at the expense of their own desires and needs. Didn't so many of us do this? I know I did. Okay, so I want you to stop and take a second and connect, because this is a question I want you to ask yourself And we're going to all be able to compare, how this played out for us. How were you the caretaker for the narcissist in your life at your own expense? What did you give them and what did you miss out on in the relationship? So I want you to think about it, stop the video, and then scroll down and write your response below this video. Okay, so now what we're going to do first of all is we're going to look at the Mpus unconscious driver. It's this. This is what is going on inside the Mpus emotional system. I sense other people's painful and negative energy, and I find it incredibly uncomfortable in my own body, and I feel unsafe. And then I try to change it for them so that I don't feel this way. And this really is a reenactment from childhood. Being in environments with emotionally unstable, volatile, addictive, or depressed people. Having to lose your own sense of self, needs, and rights in order to focus on someone else's, and then try to fix them in order to survive. The empath, rather than connecting to what am I feeling and what do I need to generate for myself right now, automatically goes to what are you feeling and what do you need from me right now. The highly intelligent covert narcissist, and they are highly intelligent, knows that to hook a kind and gentle soul, all one needs to do is find out what hurt them previously. An underhealed empath are always carrying hurt about something, and they'll profess never to be these things themselves, and they'll display feigned empathy, and the empath believes that he or she is going to be safe with this person. Then as the mask drops, the empath finds themselves in that familiar role. I get smaller and disappear whilst I feel sorry for you and try to help you like yourself in your life, and in the meantime, I lose myself and my own life. Codependent tendencies make us extremely susceptible to covert narcissists. If we feel empty on the inside and like something's missing, and we try to control our environment and people in it in order to try to feel whole, instead of healing our own unhealed wounds, what happens is we try to fix and change this person's depression and negativity by trying to get them to read this book or take this course or go on this diet or start this exercise regime, rather than confronting our own unhealed parts, which have got us unconsciously stuck in patterns with people where our needs are not even recognised, let alone met. We're enduring the reality that this person's life is all about them. And what we are getting is abuse, criticism, projections, put downs, blaming us for the problems, as well as trying to convince us that we're defective, have serious issues, and we're the ones that need help. Yet it is insidious, it's gradual, it's cloaked. Some people, not all, but some, snap out of it and get away from overt narcissists when the mask drops and these beasts maliciously threaten or viciously, verbally or physically abuse them or their loved ones, or serially cheat or whatever they do, which is really quite overt and in your face when it happens. However, if someone is eroding your sense of self like a stealth bomber, in passive-aggressive ways that throw you off balance, don't always add up, and are hard to put your finger on, how can you be really sure? Covert narcissists do passive-aggressive things like go quiet, groan, and tut. Their disapproval, they slam doors, they cut you off mid-sentence telling you why your ideas have no merit, and they guilt trip you by telling you that you aren't a caring, kind person, you're not interested or involved enough in their life, or that you don't grant them enough attention. They sook, sulk, pout, withdraw and withhold to get their own way. Covert narcissists know that people who focus on trying to help others and have poor boundaries in relation to how they're being treated will keep offering attention and energy, even when their mask drops and their poor behaviour intensifies. The covert narcissist tries this out bit by bit and escalates the dumping of his or her depression and insecurities all over this person, making it, of course, all their fault. The truth is, the covert narcissist has a deep-seated rage about their inadequacies, failings, and life, and needs to take it out on those closest to them. Of course, that being those who will allow them to. And no matter what people do to try to help the covert narcissist, things will never change. The abuse only intensifies. The covert narcissist is stubbornly non-accountable. He or she will deny, deny, deny. Any accountability with such a fragile self-identity and the collapse into chronic gnawing shame would be unbearable. It would mean emotional annihilation. The covert narcissist will never admit wrong unless there's a hefty, manipulated payout for them in doing so. Often what the narcissist will do, without ever really apologising, is drop you a teensy nugget of hope, just enough to keep you invested in the game with them. In the most serious of abusive covert narcissist case, the covert could be living a secret life. They are traditionally more conniving and secretive than the brash, boastful, overt narcissist is. They may have a secret addiction, such as crime, porn, drugs, alcohol, or an affair. And it truly is a covert narcissist who could be married to two people and have two different families at once. And we may be, with a covert narcissist, investigating, checking up, trying to see into their phones and computers, and then being told that we're totally paranoid and acting out as a product of our past. I understand that behaviour totally, because that's what I did too. But I want you to know this. The intense focus on trying to work out who and what I'm dealing with is not going to hand you your salvation. In fact, what generally happens with the empath, codependent, covert narcissist union is that we find excuses. And even if we do discover stuff, they can expertly talk us out of it, granting just enough confusion that we can't 100% be sure. We smell smoke, but we can't pinpoint the fire. And we're not being threatened with insane allegations and demands, being stalked mercilessly and encountering narcissistic wild rages with cruelty that take our breath away on a regular basis, like we do with the overts. However, do know, when a covert's mask fully drops and their trapped internal rage is unleashed, they're capable of all of that as well. So rather, we hang in there. We tell ourselves it is livable and we hope for a change. Worse than all of this, the covert narcissist may have twisted you into being a full target to project his or her insecurities onto, including their depression, their terrible depression, and now has you fully believing psychiatry and drugs is your only option because you're so unwell. And of course, whilst in public, the covert narcissist continues to play the part of the caring, dutiful spouse, concerned for their sick other half. If you are in close proximity with a covert narcissist, you will feel uneasy, unsafe, and on edge. You will feel like there is something not quite right, but you can't pinpoint it. The covert narcissist's actions don't match their words, and it's slowly driving you insane. Because with the excuses, pathological lies, and projections, you're losing your grip on what is real and what isn't. And maybe that's what led you here a search on the internet trying to work out what the hell is going on. And please know that the narcissist in your life may not fit all of this criteria. They may be a mix of overt and covert. Many are. For example, a simple example is a narcissist may appear really confident when things are going well for them and narcissistic supply is high, and more covert and depressed when the opposite is happening. Don't get hung up on definitions and types though. It's always a lot more empowering to work ourselves out and why we're attached and heal that, rather than what classification an abusive person fits into. Because the longer we stay focused on that, the longer we're denying ourselves our own healing back to wholeness. Even though knowledge is helpful, please know it's a supplement only to the true development of our inner being to become free of abuse patterns in our life. Knowing everything about narcissists will never grant you that. Only healing yourself will, which is what the NARP program does, that so many people use in this community to get free and get well. The truth is, when we're healed and whole enough, we simply don't do life with people who are over entitled and have selfish views and poor me attitudes. We don't enjoy spending time with people who have zero ability to listen to your ideas and views and have a haughty air that everything you say is unimportant and boring, and who totally dismiss your thoughts and feelings. We don't give up our dreams, aspirations, and purpose for people who never change or improve no matter what we grant them. Rather, when we heal and get well, we seek co-creative lives and people who inspire, uplift, and can join, not ones who lord over you in passive-aggressive ways their superiority, telling you at regular intervals what it is that is wrong with your weight, looks, clothes, beliefs, and lifestyle, and how they need to adopt all of their ways instead. And we certainly don't get stuck in relationships that are fraught with psychological warfare that is destroying us. We realize and heal to the level of knowing that we deserve so much better than this. And that's what Thriver Healing is all about. Coming up and out of the trance and into our true life. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's clarified some more things for you. And if you'd like to learn more about how to heal from toxic relationships and all types of narcissistic abuse, you can sign up to my free 16-day recovery course, which includes an invitation to a healing workshop with me, a set of ebooks, and lots more. So to access these, just click the link at the top right of this video. And also too, I'd love you to really connect in and share on YouTube and on the blog, is it covert or overt narcissists that you've been with? Write a comment about that, scroll down and write, or is it a combination of both? Definitely for me, it was both of them in different ways were a combination of both. The first one more overt, the second one more covert, but they had both characteristics. So I'd really love to hear your sharing about that as well. So until next time, keep healing, keep smiling, and keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.